Welcome to A Woman's Strength, empowering stories from struggles to triumph. I'm Rosita, your host, fellow warrior, and advocate for resilience and empowerment. Through this podcast, we share authentic stories of women who have faced adversity and emerged as living testimonies of strength. Their stories will inspire you to break free from limitations, embrace your authenticity, and rise above the challenges life throws your way. Together, let's discover the strength within us and create a community of empowered women who support and uplift one another. Join me every second and fourth Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific on Facebook as we uncover the keys to resilience, self-discovery, and integrating faith with personal growth. A woman's strength begins now. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining A Woman's Strength, empowering stories from struggles to triumphs. In this podcast, we'll have guests on our show who are women who will share their stories of how they struggled through some tough times, what they did to overcome it, what kind of attacks from self-doubt or whatever it is that tried to hold them back. But most importantly, the reason why we share these stories, the reason for this podcast is really to help other women overcome, right? I know when I am going through a tough time and it's one of those days where I can't even do it anymore. And then I hear a story about a woman who has been through something so painful and she was able to overcome. It gives me energy and hope to understand that I can do it too. So my name is Rosita Perez. I am a self-discovery life coach. And today I have with me the beautiful Alicja Torun. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Rosita. Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful to be on this platform.
I'm so glad that you're here because what you do is super important, but also I want to hear your story of how you got there. Alicia is the founder of Alicia's School of Love.
I love conscious love.
But Alicia is also a relationship coach, and she's going to share with us today her story of heartbreak, how she overcame, and to be able to give everybody hope that you can get through it too. Okay, Alicia, let's go ahead and get started because you're a relationship coach, and share one event, one painful event, whether that's a relationship, a marriage, divorce, whatever it is, where you struggled with the pain. And then, of course, self-doubt comes in, right? And you just go through this insecurity, not just you, but women in general.
Thank you for starting with that, because you mentioned about the hope, but that hope comes from the challenges that I went, and there's a lot of women coming through that. And I would say I struggle with a relationship that I married fairly young, 19 years old. I'm Polish Canadian, so I grew up and I was born in Poland, and then in my 20s I moved to Canada. So a lot of shifts and adjustment. And being 19, what I supposed to know about love? I would say because I was the youngest, daughter. I have 3 older sisters. So I heard a lot of things about marriage, being with relationship, and a little bit shame as well. So that, the women supposed to get married, be in a relationship. Otherwise, there is like a kind of stigma, that is kind of the value. It's not the same. And even I was very young, I absorbed like a sponge, because we are young, we just taking in. Nobody has a wrong intention, but we are just taking in what is in our surroundings. And it's not only in our family, but also in society that you grew up, with schools, with church, with the community. All of this has a certain effect on us, not even totally not aware of it. So marrying at 19, especially I had older parents, it was something that it was like, something that was like very important.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And especially, I grew up very religious, religious family. Those are very important. And I looked at the other factors as well, that, my parents were old and that feel unsafe, that I'm the youngest one. I kind of get into it. And of course, when I get into it, did I get in the right relationship? No, because but I calling this a big lesson when it's really take this, because of course I felt failure. I will talk about all those heavy moments in my life, but I also believe, like, reflecting today, and I see nothing's going to be a failure when we are taking a really reflective way of learning. Because that's the way we learn the best. When we are taking dive in, sometimes it's very uncomfortable, and taking this as our personal growth, that it's even sometimes it's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have a moment that you want to share that was very uncomfortable? I know you said that you got married at 19. Sounds like there was a lot of societal and parental pressure.
Yes, and it's very dysfunctional, very dysfunctional relationship from the beginning. But I had a mission. I had the mission that I'm going to be the best wife. That's my determination comes, and I'm going to do the best that I can. And of course, it didn't work like that because I took too much responsibility for everything.
Okay.
And also not knowing really who I was. When I learned later, like, really kind of get an idea who you are, it starts around age of 27. So that's more idea of who I'm supposed to, and you embrace it, what especially women in family, they expected, who what kind of wife you're supposed to be. So there's a lot of sacrificing about yourself and growing really fast and be mature, trying to be with the kids and finishing university, and then on the way move to different country, which I thought is going to give me a more maturity and more freedom from family who are just surrounded and telling us what to do.
Yeah.
But that was kind of escapism. But the problem will still exist.
Right, exactly. No matter where we run, it still exists. So as you were going through recognizing, really grabbing a hold to that the marriage was not going to work, was there a lot of, like back and forth in your mind, a lot of self-doubt saying, oh, why, what are you going to do next? You should just stay, that negative self-talk.
I didn't have the option, even at that time, living in a country, that I would even consider. I wouldn't even consider divorce. Nobody in my family divorced. There was a huge stigma about divorce. There was a huge rejection as well from society as well. And that was actually living in this deep dive, very strong Catholicism. There was no option of divorce. I think that caused my anxiety even more, of constant guilt and trying to more. But I didn't even understand psychologically what is the relationship is about. I knew that it was not working, and it takes too much responsibility. I think coming to Canada, I will start gaining understanding of my own freedom. It kind of first of all, I started getting more mature, and I'm learning who am I and how it's supposed to be. And even it was very challenging because I didn't have my family supporting me. I was gaining my independence, even it was not comfortable.
Within, you mean away from your parents, but still being married?
It's not only my parents in-law and all their cousins and
the
all
whole
the
shebang.
that whole gang that's just expect that it's supposed to be. I was a little bit have my strong voice, but I didn't know how to sustain that voice. You have that inner voice inside of you that was saying, this is something wrong. This is something wrong. And there was more things that I kind of push on the side, but that's just it's okay. Maybe there isn't my problem, that it's my fault. And that was kind of becoming aware of avoiding certain situations, sacrificing myself, understanding too much and tolerate so many things. And,
unhealthy things.
yeah, unhealthy
We
things.
don't know what we don't know. Especially, I was married young as well, so I had the same kind of upbringing. I mean, in terms of the thought process. So you were trying to overcome, societal, cultural, generational kind of thought processes, and then still stand on your own and be a married woman.
Yes.
So it sounded like when you moved to Canada, that you started to open your eyes and you were maturing, and
Yes.
you started to overcome some of that self-doubt that you were going through.
Yes. And start meeting different people who are more open-minded, have also relationship problems. I kind of start even venting and talking about it and acknowledging and having some kind of support, and seeing, support in a way that we acknowledge that we all gathering women, we just acknowledging that there is something that is,
Right.
that there is something, it's not okay. I think that was first time stepping up in the voice of acknowledging there is something not right. And even I felt bad because it's my husband, it's my family, and it's my kids. I see also that kind of there was a steps, but I didn't see how to weigh out, because I was in a different country. I still was learning language, and I learning how to be in this new environment, not knowing much about law and support, which was very convenient for my partner, former partner at that time, because I was still depending on him, and that dependency caused this a kind of way of taking as it is and be grateful for it, whatever it is, and building something new. But the problem did not disappear, and what I've learned, I never say that it's only one person. I see always that there's two people. Maybe at that time I didn't see it, and there was a lot of blame and a lot of unhappiness. The relationship getting more dysfunctional, become very toxic and abusive, and that caused me even way harder to getting out, because I start getting this fear of that I'm not going to be able to do this by myself.
And I'm sorry for interrupting, did you already have children at that point?
I have 3 children.
When you were having those thoughts of how am I going to do this?
Yeah, I think it was harder with having 3 kids in a different country, because what I knew how I going to survive, not having a job, not be able to, still going to school. Then I tried to do separation. I tried to do. I think I was not, it was abusive relationship. What I've learned, it still was coming back, hoping that the partner is going to change.
Yeah.
But also create a plan to get my independence, and really creating a plan to complete my school, getting a job, and having my independence. That was the most important, so I could make a choices.
So it sounds like when you got into a new environment, you surrounded yourself with new people who brought some new thought processes to your line of thinking. And then to overcome them, you started to decide to make a plan to finish up your schooling, to be able, what was the other thing? Finish up your schooling. How are you going to move forward? I mean, all that, like, where do you think all that came from as you're going through it? Was it just okay, wait a minute. Initially, something in my spirit is telling me something's not right.
Oh, it was not in the spirit. There was this problems was going further.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Was going further. It's to the point that I felt very unsafe.
Okay.
Very unsafe. I didn't have any control. Still, it was really hard. It took me years, especially with the 3 kids, and being in not having a support of the family, finding a supporting system with friends, and still be strong and independent. But it was also shame. I was afraid to ask for help and how this works.
What gave you the courage? What gave you the courage to say, that's it, I gotta go?
I think it's the most difficult. I just felt that every year was going worse and worse. It's like you have that voice inside of you, and you know that keep going. And I started not only, I started losing, like I felt totally that I disappeared in this relationship. I felt that I was not even healthy enough for my kids. Like the kids actually were my rocks, and I thought that doing the right thing. But it was totally wrong communication, disagreements, fights, constant fights, there was alcohol involved, all of that stuff. And then it's become even physical abuse. So more I stayed, I felt that I was disappearing and was losing my power. And if there was suddenly something was waking up inside of me that was calling me to change, to do something, even it's uncomfortable. So over the years, even the fear and attachment and tons of voices in your head telling you that maybe try harder, and there was something inside of me was calling that it's too far, it's not gonna work, and I need to get strength as me. And I would say I do have very deep spiritual experience. I have actually, when I was on the bottom, I was really depressed and deep down, and because it's also dysfunctional families start causing a dysfunctioning situation with kids, especially when teenagers are coming up on that age. So the problems become bigger, and I couldn't handle this. And when I was really on the bottom, I was deeply depressed. I saw nothing, like darkness. And there was a moment of asking for support, very lonely, very lonely, not knowing where to go, looking for counseling, couldn't find it. And actually I found a priest, and found a priest who was very old, very wise. And we have a conversation. And through that deep down conversation about listening me with vulnerability, raw, it was not confession. It was just actually a beautiful, authentic conversation with this brokenness that I was living and feel not knowing where to go. And he was just full of compassion and not criticism or judgment. I felt, for the first time, I felt love in my heart. So I was just like walking with rosary and praying to Mother Mary, please help me. I don't know what's going on, but I see so much love.
Yeah.
The feelings of love, it was just overwhelming with beauty. And I knew that I never knew that it's possible. I also saw a lot of darkness as well, because suddenly that experience taught me not only the light and the amazing of love, but also the darkness and a lot of fear and a lot of stuff that I learned later that was in my body, because we have that subconscious. I had someone who kind of helped me to guide through this and calm and but from now on, I knew that I have
that spirit was awakened.
The spirit was awakened. The conscious, I see this conscious because it was the truth. Suddenly I saw things that I was not able to see it. And sometimes I saw a little bit even more. And that was become my guidance to stepping up into reality, not in a fear, even it was scary, step by step. Still, there were challenges because at the time, my daughter, she got pregnant. She was 18. She was pregnant. We were moving houses. So it's kind of like life went upside down. And in that moment, that proud Alicja who just can do everything by myself I couldn't do it anymore. And I finally asked for support. I asked for counseling, and it was really helpful to me to guide what is the proper steps to do. Find that strength instead of believe what someone manipulate me, and I was allowed to give that power constantly away. After when my granddaughter was born, there was a one moment in my life, was my 30th or 8th birthday. And never forget, because everyone was gathering, and I remember the smell of my cake and beautiful sequins dress. I was in the bathroom, and I couldn't take it anymore. I cried. I felt this coldness of those tiles. And you know what? There was one thing that I felt my former partner voice flirting with someone, and I said, I cannot take it anymore. And I remember this huge heart opening, and I would start listening my heart. And that heart, it was just the voice that it came through me. I cannot take it anymore, like a roaring from me, not even thinking about that I'm going to be scared and not scared. And from that moment, when I surrender, everything took place. All the challenges, selling the house, all those details, getting through divorce, I just knew what was my guidance important. Sometimes use that logic, but listen to your heart, like that, from deeper sense of it's really guides, and making decision from that.
Yeah, I think it's so important to understand that we have that within us already. We just maybe don't know how to access that, right? Because for me, it's the Holy Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit was already within me. And I feel like we have the devil and the angel trying to guide us, right? The cartoon where they have the devil and the angel trying to guide us constantly. And then we have ourselves. But the same thing for me was that the Holy Spirit came in. I just felt God's presence and how much he loved me, and that there was nothing that would take that away, that no shame, no guilt, no nothing would ever take away his love. So I relate to what you're saying, and that at that moment, that's what broke that seal of self-doubt. Just burdens, right? From our familial, and how things are done that way, and how it's done for generations, and the society. Like, that seal was broken when that spirit was awakened. And from there, it sounds like that you had the strength and the courage to, yes, the crap is still happening, but your mindset and your courage comes from a deeper place that helped you to overcome. That's so beautiful.
And you know what? This is actually, it's a wise woman was speaking. Like, the spirit is connected with because suddenly the fear vanished. Like, it was there. It was just behind me, but there was something that it took charge of situation. Knowing and trust. Even there was emptiness. I didn't know where I'm gonna live. The financial situation was terrible. All that stuff. And I made the choices. And I really, like I said, I'm not gonna go to the court, because and every day I talk with God. My version of God, I spoke. That gave me confidence. Doing body work, yoga. I really committed to yoga and breathing, because I knew that I have to be more present with my body, whatever. I couldn't understand that, but it gave me that foundation that I can walk strongly as well. And walking through the forest, near the lake, be with nature.
That's beautiful. It's like we have to integrate our faith with our personal growth journey. There has to be that faith, right? Because there has to be something bigger, a higher version. Right. So I think that is the key, is to have faith in yourself, and to integrate faith as you grow along in your journey. And Alicia, we've got about 5 minutes left to let people know how to reach you, first of all, and then just a short snippet of what you have available and where they can find that information.
So I'm really committed to working with especially women, because I know how much painful breakups are, because it's not only that a breakup and the spirit holds us, but also we have to learn new ways living. find that strength, but sustain with consistently with learning who you are in a new way. Discover yourself as new, and allow this love coming for yourself consistently, and knowing that you're not going alone, because I know for a long time I walked alone. I know how support is important, so I support women, especially in a certain age, that they went through breakups. It is painful. It's a shift of identity, and I hold hand to discover actually this core belief that we have, core belief that is created very early stage, and we created this this life, this love, this functional, painful. But when it's turned into something amazing, everything can flourish and grow, and then call a right relationship, a happy, healthy love. Because I help women with conscious uncoupling, and as well I help women to step up and in a healthy relationship. So it's a journey. And recently I am launching a 10 weeks program to making a conscious closure. It could be someone who is still in a relationship, or finished relationship recently, or maybe a long time ago, but the still heart is closed. So that is called the journey of freedom, the love reset, building a fulfilling future.
I love that, and so important, because a lot of times, especially with strong women, don't we just kind of stuff it down and then keep walking and act like everything's okay? I did that for decades and realized, wait, no, it's not okay.
But it's worth to invest in your heart, because it's not, even when we alone, to live in a way of living of connection and real connection, and not protection, not building walls, but actually with open heart, but setting a clear boundaries. That is a totally different. And then knowing what is the truth. There is a different expansion of reality when we connect with our heart, with our mind. Not only just mind, because mind can protect us, but we are still in a fear consciousness. It is important. There are steps of growth, but the next level is how to integrate and living peacefully and freely and happy and healthy, and really feel worthy to receive and be in love with yourself, with life, with others, and be healthy, because it's everything is in our body. We hold our past in our body.
Yes, exactly. Okay, Alicia, we have to get going, but I want to leave everybody with this quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase."
Yes.
And when you are going through a traumatic experience of a breakup from a long time relationship or a marriage, you don't see the staircase. You barely see the step in front of you. So there has to be faith to even take that first step. So anyway, again, my name is Rosita Perez. I am a self-discovery coach. My website is movingforwardforlife.com. Schedule a clarity call with me, and let's get you onto a path to find your way home. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And talk to you soon.